Hi, I'm Dave from friendlywebguy.co.uk, and in this video, I'm going to be taking a look through my latest creation called Admin Toolkits. Now, if you've not heard or seen me around before, over the last couple of years, I've created quite a few different plugins that can help fellow web designers or site maintainers, as well as additional ones for site owners themselves. My long-term plan behind some of these plugins was eventually to bring them all together into one larger toolkit, which would make it easy to maintain and pack a hell of a lot more value for the people running it. So I'm going to jump straight over to my local development site where we got the current 0.1 version of Admin Toolkit in place. So I built it to be modular so that you can then from the manage screen control the different functionality and benefits from it. So these are split up into communication, where we've got our internal messaging system, marketing, which has currently got our newsletter subscribers, a front end pop up that lets you collect email addresses and then ping them across to a variety of different email platforms or to store them locally. In media, we've got media management, so you can track image usage, easily set featured images, have an easy way to preview them, download them in bulk, and even organize them with categories and tags. And we've also got the draggable images on the front end. So if you're running a blocks theme, you can basically click on a picture on there. It will zoom in the lightbox, but then you can actually zoom in further on there and drag it around the screen, which is handy if you're browsing your site on your mobile while eating toast, and you don't need to try and do that tricky pinch to zoom. Then we've got security, where we've got things like login monitoring for your IP address, country, user agents, and a geo IP lookup on there. You can also have country-based access restrictions and the login history on there. You can also do login notifications. So you can basically get an email notification each time a client admin logs in or an emergency admin logs in on that side, so you know who's logging into your site and when. We've also got other things for extra login protection, like enabling email-only logins. So WordPress sites normally expose usernames from your blog posts. With that bit enabled, you can then actually have an email address that may not be related to the actual site domain in place. It just makes it harder for anyone trying to brute force into there. We've also got password reset protection, REST API blocking, and also admin domain restrictions. So if you've got an allowed list of domains that can be used for admin users on your site, if a new user gets created or attempts to be created with Hotmail or Gmail address or something.ru, for example, it will then get blocked through that as well. And then lastly, in the security section, we've got session management. So you get some users that just kind of close the tab and thinking that's them logged out, but then your session cookie is still active. So heaven forbid your device gets any malware on there and they steal your session cookies, they can then go through and do things. This behind the scenes would basically log you out after an hour for admin users, which will invalidate your cookie on that side through. But if you did have it enabled, you can, and you're actively working, you can click on the top to extend your session on that side. So moving down to utility, we've got plugin control, where you can hide different plugins from non-admin users, protect them from deactivation, set some featured plugins on the add plugin screen, add your own curated suggestions for plugins that aren't on the repo, and also receive notifications when email or when plugins get activated or deactivated. So if you're kind of a hosting person with a semi-managed service, you can have an eye on your site to see, or your client site to say, you've got caching on the server level, but they've just installed a second performance plugin that could cause problems on there. You can drop them an email and get in touch on there without having that day-to-day checking in on them there. You've also got some useful other areas like reminders. So you can set up a reminder for your premium plugin renewals each year. So some providers don't let you know in advance that your renewal is coming up. You can set it in here. But the other benefit from that is also if you've got a premium plugin and you set a reminder against it, then if that plugin gets uninstalled, it will then trigger an email to the site owner or a CC on there as well to say, you've removed this plugin, make sure to cancel its renewal so don't get that nasty surprise in X months' time. It's a little bit of a usability thing on there, or analytics even. You can do scroll tracking on pages. So per page view, you can see an anonymous way how far someone scrolled down. So if you can sort of see on your normal analytics tools, pages have got viewed, but they don't necessarily tell you how far down people have been on there. This is just a very introductory way of seeing how far down people typically scroll on some of your pages on there. So are they missing all your offers down the screen? You wouldn't easily know, but with scroll tracking enabled, you can actually see on there as well. We then also got our taxonomy search filter. So wherever you've got a drop-down list of categories and things, you'd normally have to scroll on there. It adds a simple filter on the top of that as well, which I can sort of cover in a later video where I go into each of the different ones. We then also got UI cleanup. So it's basically nag me not, but enhanced on that as well, so that you can block your or most out of the box annoying notifications on there, but it's also got a new easy way of adding extra things to that as well. And then lastly that I'm going to cover on here, we've got our staging site warning, so that if you've got your production site and you've got an active staging site that's being worked on, then you can enable that feature and set it up so that on the login screen of your live site, it will say there's an active staging site in use. Anything you do here may get wiped out when staging gets pushed live on there. So it's not a foolproof way of preventing clients from making changes on their site, but there's a box on the login screen and there'll be a message at the top to sort of show staging site is active on that side. So at least you can cover your bases on that side to say, we told you not to do stuff on there. You just ignore these messages. You're going to have to recreate your content on the staging site or redo it when that one goes live. Now, something I'm not going to cover on this bit, but it will be coming, is also site sync. So if you were using this as an agency, you could have a parent site or parent install set up and then register your individual client sites with it as well. So things like your custom CSS selectors or plugin settings for the plugin manager, you could have pushed down on there. So if you wanted to customize your featured plugins, for example, manage it on your parent site and it can push itself down to the other sites in there. So that's more agency sort of freelance site maintainer focused on there, and I won't be covering on that one. And then lastly, just for this introduction video, we've got the sort of other admin protection mode. So if you're doing a managed site for your clients in an agency way, you can basically tick that box and the majority of the side menu on here would be hidden away from other admin users on there. So it uses the functionality from my original administrator toolkit to swap your site owner email across, which I'll hop across to quickly on here. So if you go to settings and general, bear in mind it's the local install, so sometimes it goes a bit slow. We've now swapped over the drop down on there. So with the other setting enabled, if your email address matched up on there, you'd have all the access to these bits. But without, if you weren't on there, but you still had an admin account, you'd potentially just be able to see your reminders and subscribers on there, and not all these other screens to kind of go through and change the settings on that side. So this is a early build, but I'm now working through sort of testing all of the different modules on that side to get it ready for version 1, hopefully in the next few weeks. So yeah, this is what I've been working on when I've been doing the WP admin dev updates on X. This is what it's all been about. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any ideas, feel free to let me know. Thank you.